Okay, what is up, everybody? Here for another weekly video. Let me readjust some things here so that we're nice and centered. Almost forgot to do this today. Already took a shower and everything for the evening and don't look too presentable. Sitting here in a My Hero Academia shirt and some shorts, whatever, it's all good. Yeah, so I've got a format that I'm going to be trying to kind of clean these videos up a little bit, and I'm going to go through it now. So basically it's going to start with drills and warm-ups. So what drills and warm-ups have I been working on this week? And of course there are drills that I've been working on for the past couple of weeks trying to get more efficient at them, and one of the first ones is that basic 5-note scale, just like that. Right? Go from C to G and back, and doing it with both hands, and trying to stay loose and not pick up fingers and stuff like that. I've also been working on full scales, which that thumb tuck is getting a little bit easier these days. So that's nice. And then doing it with both hands. Off time there a little bit. So there's that. Getting a little bit more efficient with it, I think. Definitely a lot more comfortable with that than I was week 1 or even week 2. Now it's going on to week 3. I've also been working a little bit more on trying to remember where all the different scales are. Oop. Not all the way there yet. But I'm getting better. I don't know how well that can be heard, honestly. Right now, I'll turn it up a little bit. I'm going to try not to wake up the kids, though. So, but yeah, and then doing it with both hands. I haven't put both hands together on all the scales yet. I'm still practicing that on the C scale until I'm super comfortable with it. And practicing the scales with individual hands, and then eventually I'll bring it together. Hand independence exercises as well, a lot of the same stuff. And of course, the one I started with. Sounding a little bit better as well. It's not as choppy. I'm not getting as flustered as I try it. So that's really nice. And of course, playing songs and stuff is helping with hand independence as well. Chords is another thing, you know, just basic stuff right now, just going for, you know, the basic triplets. Getting a lot more comfortable with that as well. Not fully there yet, and I'm a lot worse at picking out chord names than I am at just picking out single notes. I don't know why, because the thumb is the single note, that's the root note, that's going to be the chord, but there's a disconnect there for me. I mean, it's a little bit easier for me with a single note for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, everybody knows that this is C, but then we've got A here, we've got F here, we've got F sharp, we've got D, we've got B over here. Like, I can do that, but for some reason when I'm doing chords, it throws me off. I don't know why, but I'm working on it. And then trying to get all of the major chords down. That's something I started a couple days ago. Not quite there yet. What do I mean by that? Well, we've got C major, and in the C major scale when I'm stepping up, this is a form of D chord, but it's actually a D minor. That's a D major, right? So it doesn't sound as fluid going from the C major to the D major because the D minor is actually what's located in the scale. But just trying to get all those major chords down just so that I have them in my repertoire. So a lot of fun there, and yeah, just been working on that. Struggles that I've had with these exercises, of course, speed, which I know is going to come with time. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast, as they always say, so I'm trying to get smoothness down before I get too crazy fast with it. The tenseness, I feel it come up quite frequently, and trying to work through that. And then kids. When I come home from work and stuff and I start practicing, my kids are in here. You can probably see the blanket here in the background. They like to spend time in here with me, and of course, if I'm playing the piano, they want to play the piano too. And even it doesn't matter if I tell them no, they come up and start playing keys. Grace, of course, comes in. My youngest wants to be held, and then she's hitting the keyboard, and then when I try to pull her away, she's taking her feet at it to try to make noise. So it's fun, but the joys of parenthood. Am I right? As far as musical learning goes, just generic musical learning. So kind of figuring out how things like major chords and minor chords work, a little bit about sevenths as well. What do I mean by all this? Well, the major chords, I kind of played through them a second ago there, and the way that I kind of learned how to construct those was using scales and the numbers from the scales with some basic music theory videos that I've been watching. And basically the idea is, so we've got our C scale here, 8 notes, and they can be 1 through 8, right? Well, a C major, C is our first note. Basically what I do is I take note 1, skip 2, and go to 3, skip 4, and go to 5, right? So it's 1, 3, 5. And that's a major chord. And that's how I was able to build the D major as well, because the D major scale goes like this. So we've got first note, skip the second, third note, skip the fourth, fifth note. And that is D major. And then E, right? So count out five notes, play every other. So I've been working with that a little bit. Minor chords, finally, after playing music for, 16, 17 years, I understand what minor chords are. So we've got our C major, and all I do is I take that second note that I'm playing, the 3 note, and move it to a half step down. Right? So it's not on the scale anymore. The minor actually has its own scale. So instead of playing C, E, and G, I'm actually playing C, D sharp, and E, right? And then there was diminished, which is taking that third and bringing it down a half step as well. So now I'm playing C, D sharp, F sharp, right? All kinds of fun stuff like that. And I've seen chords like C major 7 on the guitar all the time. And all that is, literally, so we've got our basic C major. And then when it says C major 7, all we're doing is taking the 7th note over here and adding that into the chord. That's it. That's literally it. It's crazy how that stuff works. Been watching a lot of music theory videos. I haven't internalized all of it just yet, but again, I'm working on it. I've also been reading a book, just out of curiosity. It's called How Music Works by David Burns. You'll probably know him from the Talking Heads. And it's a really interesting book. Right now, the pages that we're reading through are just kind of about his life in music and his experience. The first chapter, though, was fascinating to me. It was a different way of thinking about music, where he kind of talks about musical creativity and about how typically it's not someone that has something they just needed to get off their chest and create or something like that. Typically music is built to fit an environment, and he uses a lot of examples of it, and one that struck me particularly was the creation of instruments. So a lot of you probably know around the equator, where there's South American, African tribes and stuff, it's very hot there, and they are not indoors a lot. Back in the olden days, when Europe was building stone buildings and finding ways to keep warm for the winter, these guys were temperate to hot all year long, and they just wanted to be outside instead of cooking in a stone oven, right? And we think about how the fact that they made drums, and how we probably think of it as tribal and like kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, shutting off an alarm there that lets me know to go study German. Unrefined, I don't know, I'm struggling to find the word right now. But he kind of points out, no, that's not the case. It's because they were outdoors. And drums were perfect for outdoor musical performances. They don't become muddied up over long distances. They're sharp, they're piercing, they can travel that distance and play over the sound of stomping feet and stuff for dancing. Whereas, farther north in Europe, all of a sudden we were getting things like organs, where we had these giant cathedrals that had a reverb that lasted for 4 to 5 seconds. And so drums in that situation are not going to sound great, but an organ will. And an organ played with simplistic notes and stuff. And it also kind of went into, that's why a lot of people think, some of the early composers didn't understand music as well as some of the laters, and didn't play as complex of pieces because they just weren't there yet. And he kind of has the point of, no, if they had had the environment that allowed it, they probably would have composed similarly to their later counterparts. And it was just a fascinating read, and he had a lot of examples of it, not only happening in humanity, but happening in nature as well, with animals adjusting for cities and stuff. And it's just a fascinating read. We, I think, are starting on chapter 3, so not too terribly far into it. We're reading about 10 pages a night, but definitely check it out if you get a chance. Also been learning a little bit about inversions. So what is an inversion? So if I play a C major, right, this is just a basic C major, and I don't know the numbers of all the inversions, but the basic idea is this high note here, this G, I can take that and play it lower, and it's the same chord, right? Sounds extremely similar, but it changes the sound of the chord, right? And we can even go farther, and I can move the E down low as well, and now now that chord is becoming even more rich. So really cool stuff there, and yeah, I'm really enjoying the musical learning portion of it. Now for high point, low point of the week. High point. Finally nailing the intro to River Flows in You by Yuruma. I have struggled with that for a couple weeks trying to get the hand independence correct, and I think I finally got it in a decent spot for me, right? Nailing it on my terms. It's not going to sound exactly like he plays it, but I can play through it kind of at my own pace without messing up a lot, which is really nice. Low point of the week, realizing that my keyboard is not actually big enough to play Moonlight Sonata in its fullness. I'm actually going to have to, I've been stepping down the keyboard, so like right now, where is it? right here, what I've been doing is stepping down the keyboard so I can come and play it in the middle. Problem with that is there's high notes that I have to hit towards the middle of the song that I can't hit on this keyboard. So the only way I'm going to be able to do it is stepping it down. Oop, whoops. Stepping it back up, I mean. And there's just going to be certain notes that I'm not going to be able to play. So when I come down to hit this B, I'm not going to be able to hit the lower octave, right? I'm only going to be able to hit that higher octave, which makes me kind of sad, but I'll make it work for now, and you know, eventually I'll get a bigger keyboard or a bigger piano and be able to play it in its full, and that'll be an exciting day for me. So low point, but it just means that I'll have to get a bigger keyboard in the future, which I'm not going to cry about. Songs that I've been working on, of course there's some random jingles that I've been doing here and there. When the girls do come in, if they're really interested in playing piano, one thing I'll do is I'll set them up in my lap and I'll have them hold out their 2 pointer fingers, and I'll just take them through something simple like right, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Or ABCs, or Baba Black Sheep. Yeah, that's a lot of songs, just with that one little progression. So just random little jingles like that that are just kind of, hey, fun, I figured out how to do this. And then of course I've also been working on River Flows in You, which has been a lot of fun. That's where I've had a lot of success moving forward lately, so let's do it. Now that I'm recording, I'm messing up. Performance anxiety. Let's start over. Still not perfect, but I would not have even been able to do this a week ago. A week ago it sounded more like this. And just messing up all the time. So to get to where I'm at right now, I'm really happy with it. And then of course Moonlight Sonata, I've started moving on to some next portions of it, and it's not sounding perfect, but I have gotten farther and I'm pretty happy with it. So already messing up. Start over here. Psyching myself out. is where I start really struggling here. That's kind of where I'm at right now, and just trying to practice that over and over and over and get it cleaned up before I move on to the next part. And that is where I'm getting to where I'm going to have to move off the keyboard, because I've been kind of studying ahead, and going to have to start bumping the keyboard down, which I should probably start practicing now. But that's where I'm at on that. So it's not perfect. It's not a performance, of course. What I'm showing you guys on camera is basically another practice session, but I'm happy with it, with where it's at for right now. So yeah, that's all the things I really have to cover. The wrap up here, number one, do I love music? And that was one of the big things. Two things here really. First off, playing those songs right now. One of the reasons I'm doing this and putting these videos on YouTube is because I have discovered that after years of not being involved in music, I have really bad performance anxiety. So like when I'm sitting here in the room by myself, I can play things fairly well for someone I think who's been playing for 3 weeks. And then as soon as there is any little bit of pressure placed on me, all of a sudden I start struggling. And so I'm trying to work through that. But the second thing, of course, was to get me to fall back in love with music, the love that I kind of lost several years ago. And yeah, I really do. And what I'm learning right now is giving me an entirely different way to look at music. And it's fun, it's exciting. My YouTube has switched from random talk show videos very rapidly to lots of music theory and piano and guitar videos in my suggested list. And I enjoy watching that stuff and learning everything that I can, and like picking out things in certain songs. This weekend, the song Sisters. For any of you who have seen White Christmas, you'll know what song I'm talking about. I noticed something really interesting that I wouldn't have noticed before, and it's that when they're getting to the part where it's Lord help the mister that comes between me and my sister, and Lord help the mister or the sister that comes between me and my man. Really interesting musical element that I picked up on when they're singing, Lord help the mister who comes between me and my sister. They're singing in harmony. So they're with each other. And then when it switches to, and Lord help the sister who comes between me and my man, they're both singing lead and clashing together, which matches with the lyrics. And that was just fascinating when I realized it, and I was really happy that I was able to pick something out like that. So definitely falling back in love with music, with getting into piano and trying to push myself. So the goals are being accomplished, I think, and trying to get through the performance anxiety. I just sang into a horrible mic and it probably sounded awful on camera, so say what you will about that. But I think I'm working through it. My plans for the next week, some of it's going to be continuing what I've already been doing, but I'm going to be trying to find some other like drills and stuff that I can work through, and probably try to find another song to learn as well. I'm thinking about trying to find some type of ballad or something that I can sing along to. I don't know, maybe, oh, what's the name of it? I was thinking, something by The Fray, or maybe Coldplay, or maybe even, oh man, what's the name of that song and the artist who sings it? Hold on. All of Me by, I'm going to look it up. John Legend, that's right. Maybe work on something like that, just because I want to get back into singing as well, and being able to play piano and sing I think would be really fun. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Hopefully sometime, maybe around Christmas, I might be able to buy some type of piano learning app subscription. I've kind of run through my trials on those. So those are kind of gone, but I'm going to work towards that because I think it would be nice to have something to move along with as well, instead of just trying to do everything on my own, if that makes sense. So on that note, if any of you guys have any suggestions, please let me know, and I'll be happy to look into them. Also, if you guys have any tips for beginners, if you guys have any songs that it's like, hey, as a beginner pianist, you have to learn this song, it's extremely helpful, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm super interested in hearing about it. But with that, I've covered all the material I wanted to cover today. Really appreciate you guys watching in. For those of you who have stuck here to the end, thank you for coming along on this journey and seeing what I'm doing week in, week out, watching my growth, hopefully growth, and just sticking in there with me. I really appreciate it. It's nice to have friends and even some people I may not know eventually supporting me in all of this. So thank you all, and I will see you again next week.